All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's your good friend Pozzible here, and I'm here with Joe.
Hello.
And Bucky.
Hey.
And today we are doing our big review of the big Phoenix Comicon this year, 2014. Speaking of big, I think this was the biggest ever, wasn't it?
I heard there was like over 90,000 people there.
90,000 is around the number.
I haven't got confirmed on that number. I don't know.
But sounds right, because it was very, very, very crowded.
They usually post how many people attended this year, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Wasn't it like 71,000 last year? Or
I think we reached 75,000.
75,000,
okay.
right.
We're getting more and more every year.
You know what I just thought about with all these people starting to show up? Are we going to see the end of the media pass?
I would see. We'll see.
I hope not.
Yes, because I do see rising prices. Because let's face it, if we got all these people coming in, you gotta supply and demand. You gotta even it out. This one, I think, the biggest reason why we had so many people, and help me out here, guys. Not like that. I think we had more current people this year than we did any other year. Like before, we always got these people that were celebrating their 15th anniversary.
Yeah,
and
they didn't really do a theme this year.
They did not. They really didn't. It was very random, just basic stars. But we had Stephen Amell, star of Arrow, and Arrow right now is really just beginning to take off. End of season 2, ended on a high note, from what I understand. I'm starting to watch it myself. Joe bought the DVDs or the Blu-rays.
Yeah, but I haven't opened them yet.
He hasn't opened them yet. Can you believe it? Believe me, once you start, you can't stop. It's really good. And I hear it picks up after the 6th season. Bruce Campbell came by, and he just finished Burn Notice.
Okay.
So he just came off the end. And, of course, John Barrowman came. Now, he was here last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. You know, it's so funny. So much. What a difference a year makes. Last year, I was still confused by Doctor Who. I didn't know anything about Doctor Who last year. And then I started watching a few episodes, and the Day of the Doctor the movie came around, so I had to watch everything as soon as possible. And so I became a Doctor Who expert in less than a month.
You became a Whovian?
A Whovian in less than a month,
Dr.
exactly.
Whovian.
But yeah, it was a good con. Let's go through, start with Bucky here. Bucky, favorite things about the con? What would you say is your number one favorite? Or the top 3?
Top 3. Well, one that I think a lot of people who are listening to this will agree with that attended was a panel with Cary Elwes.
Oh, yes.
Who's known for The Princess Bride. He was the Man in Black, a.k.a. Wesley. And there's this 9-year-old girl in the audience, and she went up to the microphone and just asked him one question. She's all here, "Can I have a hug?" And it was just so adorable. I can't even figure out another word to use for it, because adorable is the most appropriate word. And Cary just stood up, jumped down off the stage, and just hugged the girl, and it made her day.
It made a lot of people's day. I remember, you filmed that, right?
I didn't film it, no.
Oh, okay, because I remember it was on your Facebook.
Someone else filmed it, and they posted it to Facebook. I just shared it.
And what's interesting is I thought that was a lady next to you doing that whole thing.
And the thing is, the person that did film it found out the girl's father's Facebook page and sent it to him. And the father showed it to the little girl herself, and she was just smiling ear to ear seeing that.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that was my number 1. Number 2 was what I was actually waiting in the North Ballroom for, which was to see Stan Lee's panel.
Oh, yes.
Because unexpectedly, Todd McFarlane came out to kind of introduce him, and I thought he was only going to be there a few minutes, but he ended up being there for like half the panel, I think, at least.
Yes. Well, and he was needed.
And the thing is that due to an event that happened like 15 years ago, I got a very, very bad impression of the guy. I think it was closer to 20 years ago, actually. And he just came off during the time as very arrogant and pretentious. But seeing him with Stan Lee, my negativity towards him is dwindling, because I thought they bantered back and forth pretty well.
Oh, they did a great job. I think 15 years ago, that was the height of his Spawn days, when he was finally breaking off from all, and starting his own toy company, starting everything else, and I think the ego was running a little high back then.
I think it still is, but he didn't show it.
Right. Well, it's easy to be humbled in front of somebody, much better than you, and he got Stan Lee, and Stan Lee has always been all about the fans, incredible author, incredible publisher, marketer. Somebody who really made the fans feel special and everything.
Oh yeah, Stan Lee knows how to listen to the people.
Yes.
He knows what his fans want.
Exactly.
I mean, had I known that I could have asked a question, hoping that he's there next year. Pretty much, I already know what question I would ask him. It's just that it's too late now.
Well, hopefully he will be there next year. Sometimes, even though Phoenix Comicon is our big one in January, we do have Arizona Comicon, and every once in a while he gets into that one.
Right, I heard that's coming up in about 6 months or so. Like it's in December or something.
January.
Yeah.
I always miss them because every time they come around, I forget about them.
Hey. I don't think they advertise that. That's why I've never heard of that one.
Right. It's new. They're trying to build it up like this one.
I wonder if I can get a media badge for that.
No, they don't do media badges.
Okay. Right.
They're not as big as Phoenix Comicon, but they are getting bigger to the point. There used to be a Mesa. Now it's at the convention center.
Right.
Right. I heard that's at Phoenix Convention Center.
Yeah, but it used to be a Mesa because it was smaller.
Now the thing is, assuming the people still cosplay for Arizona Comic Con.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing that, I may cosplay for that if I am able to go.
You'll have an easier time doing your cosplay at Arizona Comic Con in January than you will doing.
Yes, exactly.
Because
that was kind of my biggest also kind of a complaint of mine is that I wanted to cosplay, but when you're in Arizona and you're wearing a heavy bathrobe and it's 110 degrees outside, you get annoyed very easily by your costume.
For those who do not know, the reason why he's wearing a heavy bathrobe is because he's playing Arthur Dent.
And for those that don't know who Arthur Dent is, there's a book called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If you are part of the geek community, you should know who that is.
Read the book. Do not watch the movie.
The movie is okay, but the book is better.
Yeah. Oh, big time. They have more stuff, but that's just common. That's common. Okay, so Joe, what are some of your favorite? Wait, do you have one more thing?
Nothing really comes to mind. Like I said, those are the two highlights.
Now, Joe, one thing I like about you really get it with the celebrities.
They're downstairs, and I usually spend most of my I missed most of my panels this year because I was down on the exhibition floor, which is huge this year. And I heard it's going to get even bigger next year. Huge this year.
Oh, okay. It is huge. I don't know. I mean, this time I have to wonder where are they going to put everything because there's just no other room. The downstairs has now been completely open to just the expo. The registration's been moved from the north building to the south building, unless they're going to put some expo in there, which I hope they don't do that. But yeah, we have grown. I mean, the question is Phoenix Convention Center really going to be able to handle this? Because we got that whole downtown now. We got the Convention Center. We have the Hyatt. Yeah. We're in the Sheraton. And we're in the Renaissance. So we've got stuff just all over the place. And this year, they actually tried to pull a lot of stuff outside.
Yeah, there was
which I thought was intense. But you got to speak with the Batman people.
Burt Ward.
Burt Ward.
I spoke with him for a little bit. Got his autograph. I met all the blue, red, and black original Power Rangers. I got their autographs. Those guys are really cool. I could not say pretty much. I had a worse time with the Red Ranger's manager than I did with any of the Rangers themselves. They were all really cool people.
Oh, I can believe it. Well, that's more their job to be, the cool people.
Well, she wanted the money. She wanted to make sure I was going to pay the money. It's like, yeah, I'm going to pay the money. I want to get this signature.
Oh yeah.
And then Catherine Bach, a lifelong dream of mine to get her autograph, meet her. I told her some of my old Duke stories, and she laughed at them. How my mom used to pick me up and put me in the window, and my dad used to let me get in the window of his truck.
Oh yeah,
and stuff, and we had the guinea pigs named all the Duke characters. So that was cool. That was a really cool moment meeting them, as well as meeting a lot of people from the comic book industry, which those guys are really down to earth, very cool guys. And I spent a long time talking to guys like Ryan Wynn, Van Jensen, Robert Venditti, all people who write or do artwork for.
And aren't some of them actually starting to recognize you now?
Ryan Wynn actually, he's like, dude, I talked to him, I bought some prints from him. He's like, and saying about how I was worried about getting him home in one piece. He's like, don't worry, they'll be fine. But you know what, we're friends. If something happens, just email me. I'll send you some other ones.
There you go.
So I mean, that was a big thing for me. For Ryan Wynn to say that him and I are friends,
was
just awesome. So he's got a new book out, comic book. Him and another guy writing. And I'm sorry, I cannot remember the other guy's name right off the top of my head. Called Death Betty. Looks pretty cool. I can't wait to read it.
And this will be his own original work now.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, his stuff is usually he's the inker for like DC. So what happens is he gets a loose sketch of what the panel's supposed to look like. He then draws it or it goes over the lines and makes heavy shade or whatever, and then they send it to the colorist to color it in.
Right. Okay.
So that's pretty cool. And these guys are telling me, we work in comic books. We're just normal people. We just, and I'm like, no, you guys are like gods to me.
Right.
I really was like starstruck.
I've noticed that lots of these celebrities are just really cool. I'm always at panels, so I never have time to go visit the stars. I did connect somewhat with two stars, the Barrowmans, John Barrowman and Carol Barrowman. I'll get to that in a moment. Joe, what was another highlight besides those celebrities?
Another highlight, I'm going to go with Bucky on the whole Stan Lee panel.
Oh, of course.
That was,
yes.
The coolest part, though, is the line wrapping around the side of the building, and we went in another side. Interesting thing, all right, we're going in, there's a guy guarding this open door.
Okay.
Not where the line is, but around, because you know how the ballroom, there's like A, B, and C doors? Right. Well, if you go around the corner, there's another set of doors. There's a guy standing at the doors. And we go to walk in, not avoiding the line, and he's like, "Oh, you can't come in." And he sees I was with Frank. He's like, "Oh, media badge. Okay, go on in." And so I thought he saw my badge too. So I go to walk past him. He grabs me by the arm and just rips me back. Whoa! so he's like, "I need to see your pass." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I thought you did here." He's like, "Oh, you're media. I'm sorry. Go on in." I was like, "Oh, jeez." That guy was. I give him props. He's doing his job.
Yeah, I will say...
Always keep your badge out in the open.
I thought he saw it because it was.
Yeah, next year I'm definitely going to try utilizing my media badge a lot more now that I know how to use it.
Yeah, and there's actually a section.
I didn't realize there was a section to sit. I mean, they don't really tell you these things.
Now you see, that's the part that I find interesting because every time, and I've walked in like 5 or 6 times into that North Ballroom, every time I walked in the first time, that's what they would say to me. They say, "You're media. Front right-hand side. Go there." It's like I'm being punished, but no. But the first time the person told me that, I hugged her. I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah, they actually have a section. For us.
It's like next year I really want to amp up my game. I do want to, hopefully I can get closer to the stage at the North Ballroom, so I can actually, get close-up shots of like Stan Lee or whoever.
That was one thing I didn't like when they put us in the far right, so we still. When the lights were down, it was really hard to get a picture because the lights were on. It would have been nice if they could have put us in the center.
Right. Well, the one thing we had going for us is that we're right in front of that big screen. And that big screen is where I take all my pictures of Stan Lee and all the celebrities.
I took pictures of that.
Yes.
And then every so often I'd swing over and take a picture and get the stage and the other big screen in there. So you'd see the action on stage, and then you'd see the screen behind it.
It would be nice, but the one thing that I noticed whenever I tried to do that is that the people would glow. I couldn't, and we had a light. One of these lights were pointing right at us, so we would sometimes get blinded.
So like with Julie Newmar, she wore a white outfit. And she's got an elderly lady. She's got white hair now, so that light shining on her, she looked like a ghost standing there because it was all
considering where I was sitting, I was like pretty much in the middle of the ballroom. I tried taking a picture of the stage with Stan Lee and. Todd McFarlane. I just saw 2 white dots on my camera when I took the picture.
Yeah, that's why. But I would try and.
But then again, the zoom on my phone only goes to 4 times. Mm-hmm. I definitely need to try upgrading, to get a digital camera or something before next Comic-Con.
I don't know. I got the 5S, and that actually replaced. I took my mom's digital camera,
right,
and my 5S took much better shots. The only problem is her camera was actually able to reduce the glare, so I could take a picture of the stage. Whereas my phone, we got the white figures. But it was cool doing it from that angle. You take the pictures, and you see the people on stage. You just like white dots, barely make them out. But then you got the screen in the same shot where you can see what's actually that one. You can see who's who. So that worked out pretty good. I'm for my third favorite thing, I would have to say just not just the celebrity interaction, but just seeing people I haven't seen in years or since last year. At the con, getting to meet new people, because it's Phoenix Comicon. It's like you're among your friends, and no matter who you're there with. You do hit some rude people. Like I hit a guy in a Star Wars outfit, and I was trying to talk to him, and he was just kind of rude. But But most of the time, you'll get people there, and you'll just talk to them. I met the guy dressed as the Penguin. I talked to him, and there was the Green Man from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was awesome. You know, and they're just normal people who just want to have fun like you. And it doesn't matter whether you're a professional or a media or an exhibitor or a guest or just a regular event goer. It's all like almost like one big happy family here.
It really is, and now it's a very huge big happy family.
Yeah.
You know, it was, but yeah, we had great fun. That's one thing I always like. One thing I always find myself doing at Comic-Con is I'm always having lunch with somebody. This time I went to go grab something to eat, so I grabbed a Subway, went to sat down, and obviously the people who left there, usually these tables have 4 chairs.
Yeah.
This one had like 8 chairs. And it was just me sitting down at the table, and this one couple needed to find a place to eat, so I waved them over, and we sat down. We had a nice conversation. Very easy to do at Comic-Con.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
This year
I've come across very friendly people.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The vibe. I mean, the thing is, there's actually a Facebook page for Phoenix Comicon. And pretty much on that page, I bonded with a lot of people. I mean, we were talking about hanging out outside of the convention after it's all over and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, I might join that next year. That seems like
it really is.
thing.
The people there are very, very friendly.
This is my vacation. Phoenix Comic-Con is the one time a year where I want to go on vacation.
Right.
If I can't get any other days off of work, that's all right.
I'm like so prepped for this. Like, I will literally request the days off in December.
I tried. They wouldn't let me. I've tried to request them off the day after the last one ended.
Yeah.
It was Memorial Day last year.
Yeah.
I went back to work the day after Memorial Day, and I tried to request these days off.
Well, I mean, you gotta give them a certain leeway. Like, don't you have to give it like 3 months?
No, I have to do it 10 days in advance, but I try and do it as quick as I can.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I think I did this one in April or early May.
Right. So some of my favorite things, of course, celebrity panels are always a big treat. This year, when I had to choose between a celebrity panel or another panel, I chose the celebrity panel for one reason. The other panel will either be something that I can find out on the web, or it's something will probably be back next year. Celebrity panels are a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I never went to a celebrity panel before this year.
Oh, really?
Yes, I went.
You're missing out.
I don't think I did either.
Went to Adam West, the Power Rangers, and Stan Lee, and they were all awesome.
You know, one of my favorites this year was actually Carrie. I'm going to butcher his last name.
Elvis.
I want to say Yules for some reason. I want to combine them all.
The L is before the W.
But it's flexible.
No, it isn't.
Well, anyway.
Then I guess it's also flexible the way me and Joe talk.
Oh, don't get started now. But anyway, Carrie, he was one of my favorites. He had stories, amazing stories about him and Andre the Giant.
Oh, I wish that I'd gone and heard that.
Yes, because, it was Andre the Giant who wanted him to ride this big Humvee. Or ATV. And of course, when Andre the Giant gets off of it, the ATV raises up 5 feet.
And you find out that during the filming of a scene in the movie where he's sword fighting with Mandy Patinkin, and
right.
He actually broke his foot like the previous day or 2 ago.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Because apparently Andre the Giant was all here. Come on, you want to ride it.
Yes.
So of course he rides it and he ends up smashing his foot between a giant rock, and the clutch.
Yes.
Because they say that when he falls down and does this whole "as you wish" thing, and then he goes into the fire swamp, you can actually see him limping as he's running.
Yeah. Well, remember, "As You Wish," when he's rolling down the hillside, that wasn't him.
It was his voice, but it was just see the stuntman rolling.
Right, you see the stuntman. Yeah, that's the funny thing. You know who had hilarious discussions about stuntmen was John Rhys Davies. John Rhys Davies was doing this show, The Untouchables. I don't remember him being in The Untouchables with Kevin Costner, but they've done other versions of The Untouchables. And there's this one moment where they were going to a warehouse that was about to explode, and so there was a shot where they're pulling up in a van and they're jumping out of the car. And they do all these establishing shots. They got plenty of other shots, so now it's time to blow up the building. And so John Rhys Davies is like, okay, well, now it's time for the stuntman. And the director didn't want to do it. The director wanted to keep the actors in front. But John Rhys Davies didn't want to be in front of a building when it blew up. So They got the stuntman in there. They blew up the building. The right side of the stuntman's face melts off.
Wow.
Being so close to that heat. You know? There's another movie he was doing, not Indiana Jones, but he was riding horseback. And he was like the only actor who could ride horseback. He's an accomplished rider and everything. And he wanted to make sure, he said, sir, I'll be glad to ride horseback, but I want 200 feet between me and all the cavalry behind me. And they said, sure, no problem. So he rode, he was leading the charge, so he had this huge distance in front of him. What's funny is, you get this idea when you see these movies that when you see a horse leading the charge and he's all this way ahead, you think to yourself, okay, he's trying to be a badass, trying to get all the way in front. No, he's trying to keep distance between him and all those other horses behind him so they don't smash him. Well, they had to do another shot where the horses would only be 25 feet charging forward. And guess what John Rhys Davies said?
Get a stunt double?
Let's bring in a stuntman. And this director had no problem with it. He said, yeah, sure, stuntman. And this time, another horse sideswiped him. He fell off the horse and the stuntman was trampled. He got broken ribs, broken legs, broken arms. John Rhys Davies visited in the hospital. And of course, what do you say? Sorry, hope you're feeling better. And of course, you're thinking to yourself, what?
Glad it wasn't me.
Glad it wasn't me. No, he did say that to the stuntman, but the stuntman, of course, very bravado, saying, oh, don't worry about it. It happens all the time. This is part of the job, stuff like that. So he acknowledged that it was a very dangerous job. But you see, these sort of things are once in a lifetime. Unless you can catch John Rhys Davies again or Stan Lee again, and let's face it, they're getting up there in years, so it's not always going to be possible. And so the celebrity panels, you should always do at least one. I mean, I had to miss Steve Amell because he's doing Arrow, and I'm just getting into Arrow. They're going to have spoilers.
Yeah.
John Barrowman gave a spoiler. Now, John Barrowman was great, but I had a special treat with John Barrowman. I went to, on Friday, Carol Barrowman's panel, and John Barrowman joined her. And it was so awesome, of course, seeing brother and sister interacting, but being able to talk to him. It was such a small panel because everyone was expecting just Carol, but John came in there too. I actually spent a little bit more time than I should have asking them questions. I went up 2 or 3 times because I gave people chances, but it was open-ended, so why not, right? And not many people were going up, so I figured get some questions answered. They gave me an interesting Scottish lesson too, which I still appreciate to this day. All 2 or 3 days later. Now the next thing, my biggest favorite thing to do. The biggest thing at Comicon is that you get to do stuff here that you can't really do anywhere else, and you get to bond with people. The biggest moment I bonded was on Thursday. I went to Artemis. Artemis was like this command center. It's like being on the command deck of the Enterprise. Okay. It's a simulator, so you have the control. There's a captain chair in which I was the captain. There's a pilot. There's an engineer. There's a science officer. There's a comm officer, and there's a weapons officer. So only 4 of us were guests. The other 2 were Artemis members. And you have this Artemis member walking around giving you suggestions if you're the captain, which I was. I tell you, it was one of the funnest things I ever did to ever actually be able to stay there and develop military strategy while playing this video game, even though we died like 2 or 3 times. Twice just because my pilot rammed us into some mines. Okay, he was still learning how to fly, so I gotta take that. But that was huge fun, and believe me, when I go back next year, I'm gonna watch the whole thing this time. You know how you're supposed to wait 45 minutes? Well, I only saw 10 minutes of it.
Oh, really?
They still put me in the captain's chair.
Yeah, maybe next year you might live longer if you have someone else be the captain.
What's that?
Maybe.
I don't know. Well, next time if I do it, I think I might try to either be the captain again or the pilot.
Well, you were captain this year, and look how that turned out. Maybe
well, I was still on it. We were all new. The only person who had experience with this before was the engineer, Rain. And by the way, if you're listening, Kirk, Rain, Andy, this is your captain speaking.
Oh.
You still did a great job. Yes, that's right. I'm still addressing my crew. That was awesome. The other thing that was awesome that I really liked, and Bucky, I thought you were going to go to this. There was a science mixer where you got to talk to scientists.
I never said I was going to that.
Oh, I thought you were. Because it was for writers, and both Bucky and I are writers, and we come up with these ideas, and I wanted to clarify some. I wanted to clarify some of the science fiction stuff I was doing and bring science into it. It's so funny. I attended this one panel of scientists before the mixer, and these scientists were talking about their gripes with Hollywood. And how they make these movies, and some of these are favorite movies, but they just don't mesh with reality. And for those of you, just to give you a little science test, a little science tip here, when you're watching CSI, they have it wrong when they say, look, we got this person's DNA, we know it's him. They don't, because it takes 6 weeks to confirm DNA. But what they do have is their RNA. That's what one of the biologists talked about, had an interesting talk with a guy from microbiology. Ben was the one guy I talked to all 90 minutes. Ben, you put up with me for 90 minutes, and I appreciate it. I still have these notes to this day. So, 2 days later. But I'll be using them, I promise. But yeah, celebrity panels are awesome because they tell you sometimes. Now, you know what? Catherine Bach didn't have a panel, did she?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's so... Well, hopefully next time we'll get her there. But yeah, wonderful. Now, also, got some gripes. I got a gripe with Joe because the one thing I wanted to do at this Comic-Con, well, I want to do lots of things, but the one thing I didn't get to do was see Jessica Negri. She was there, but she didn't have a booth. And Joe...
But actually, she stopped by the cosplay booth and she was signing stuff, I think, at one point.
Which cosplay booth? There's like 5 of them!
I forgot the name of it.
Oh, for the love of... Well, it doesn't matter. You didn't text it to me anyway.
I think it's like... it starts with an A, I believe, but I'm probably way off.
I'm going to have to try to save up my money and go to another one of these Comic-Cons that Jessica Negri is, so I don't have to wait all year long. Speaking of gripes, though, Bucky has a gripe against me.
That's not something they need to hear, but...
well, no, it was a fun thing that they did, though. Tell them what they were doing.
Well, was for people that joined the Phoenix Comicon Facebook page. Is that pretty much a few weeks before is when I joined, and I was actively posting on the message board. And the people on the Facebook page are friendly as you can imagine. And I think about a week or two before Comic-Con, one of them suggested, hey, let's all wear like a blue ribbon so that way we can identify each other when we pass by at the convention. And so I didn't have a blue ribbon, but I know that there were people on the Facebook page that said they would be handing them out. And it was kind of like a little close-knit thing with me. It's like I wanted to feel like I was part of like this little community.
Yeah, this is where I got... you know what? Now that you explained it that way, I realized, I really was in the wrong. Because it was this private thing that they were doing. But when it was by pure luck that I was with Bucky.
Well, I mean, I give you props that you helped me find the person that was handing out the blue ribbon.
You got to give me that. I did find her.
That doesn't really excuse what you did next. I got the blue ribbon for me, and then even though that you were not part of the Facebook page, you didn't have any posts. You were no part of it whatsoever. You asked for a blue ribbon also.
I think she offered.
You don't know. I heard you. You asked, "Can I get a ribbon too?"
Oh, okay.
I remember that.
Okay.
I was even trying to convince you. Why? I said, "Why? You are not part of this."
I understood that part, but I didn't realize how big this was. Remember, I was not sure what... When you say I'm not a part of this, I'm not sure what this really was. So I figured, okay, maybe now I'll join it.
So you kind of understand why I pissed at you.
So, that's why I want you to be able to air your grievance to the public.
Not really pissed. Now I've toned it down to just offended.
Right.
So, I'm not asking...
But he did admit he was in the wrong when you explained it to him.
I did.
Does that make any difference here? He said he was wrong.
Okay, how about this? We'll go to Nate's house, get his favorite collectible, and we'll smash it into 1,000,000 pieces, and then we'll apologize to the collectible. And we'll see how the collectible... Oh, wait, you can't. You can't. Broken is different than repair.
Well, yeah, repair is fixed. Broken is broken.
Exactly. So
there you got your lesson for the day.
Yeah, obviously I have some work to do. I gotta repair this. Okay, but speaking of repairs, we have such great things at this Comic-Con. The Comic-Con's getting much, much bigger, but you notice they changed up a lot of things. They try to implement this line structure where they put down some purple tape and you're supposed to follow the tape. And this one couple actually cut me off and cut in line.
Funny thing is, you mentioned that. I never noticed any purple tape.
I saw tape. I always thought it was red tape, but I saw tape on the floor.
Yes.
I didn't notice it.
But I never knew what it was for, because...
The only lines I really noticed was for outside the exhibition hall room, doors 6, where just outside the photo op area.
Right.
Obviously for people that are in line for a photo op.
But, like, with me going, I wanted to meet Andy Kubert, who's like an artist, or not like an artist. He is an artist.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give him sign some of my comic books, and his line, I noticed, never really had a structure. It was like at the end, when I finally got to meet him Saturday afternoon, they had a structure where they had 2 line managers. One guy would stop you at one point, and then when it was clear, he'd say, "Okay, now you go over to the table," because the line would wrap around the table.
Right.
And that was to keep the aisleways.
Wasn't this the first time they tried using line monitors?
No, they did that last year as well.
They did that last year,
because last year I was meeting Greg Capullo, another artist.
Right.
The Evil Ernie guy.
Huh?
The Evil Ernie guy? The guy that did Evil Ernie back in the 90s?
No, this guy is, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's Brian Pluto, never mind.
Yeah, this is Greg Capullo, who does the art for Batman. He's like, I think he's been there from the start. Mm-hmm. So I was waiting to get him to sign stuff, and people wait in line for hours, and he was doing 3 at a time. One guy had a box, he just kept having to go around, wait in line for another hour to get him signed.
Oh my gosh.
Now, the interesting thing they did here at this Comic-Con, and I believe this is the first time they've tried this, if you look at the picture here in front of you, you will notice that there's escalators just above the Comic-Con of the word, and those escalators were all going down. The escalators behind us were all going up.
What they tried to do is they tried to keep a flow in the exhibition hall, because as you can see in this picture,
I understand
it's busy.
I understand why they did that, but what you don't see is the other escalators that are on the other side of the pictures, the ones that went just down. At the top of that is where the food court is at.
Yes.
So if you wanted to get to the food court, you had to go quite a ways to get to it.
Yes, to get around.
But think about it, if you're done gorging your face, you don't want to walk a lot, so it's nice that the down escalators are right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
It's like, yeah, it's I can understand why they did it. It's just kind of, I don't want to say made me mad, but it's like, at least have like more. I mean, one thing I did notice is that for food, they gave people so many options that literally at like 2 o'clock on Saturday, I literally had to go to like 4 or 5 restaurants before I could find one that didn't have any lines going out the door.
Yeah, I mean, we went to Subway on Saturday, and it was later than that. I think it was like maybe 5 or 6. And as soon as we walked in, I mean, you could hardly close the door because we were all trying.
Exactly.
We all wanted to cram in the air conditioning.
So they definitely.
Yes.
I mean, it's like you get hungry at Comic-Con, so either you bring your own food or you find a restaurant. The only problem is if you go to a restaurant, you're going to have to deal with crowds.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't really have a big crowd, I don't think, at the con, but the food's real expensive. It's like $9 for a hamburger.
Well, one thing at the I don't want to plug food at the con, but there are 2 things in the food court I thought were really good for their price.
Okay.
Was the one where they had the pasta place. Where
yes.
The pasta of the day was like $11, but you got a good amount of pasta for the price. And the other one is, I guess there's one where you can like do your own ice cream type of thing.
Oh yes.
And they charge by the weight.
Right.
Oh. Those are like the only 2 food areas worth getting food from.
You know, I'm going to add to that though. I did like my Subway that I had there from them. And
there's a Subway there?
It's not Subway, it's a sub sandwich.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And I wanted to get their Chinese food. Usually the Chinese food is pretty good, but they didn't have a good selection this time. Like, they tell you what is possible, but they didn't have everything. They just had a few things.
Another interesting, when we talk about food, is I think this is the first year they had like roach coaches out front.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw people ranting and raving about the one that had the fried cornbread or whatever that was.
Oh yes, those things.
And so I never had it, but the smell of it was just, oh my gosh.
So now, what are some improvements that Comic-Con could do?
Well, the first thing is when someone pulls the fire alarm, make sure that there's an actual fire before you evacuate everyone from the building.
Don't think that someone pulled it. It was a heat sensor, I heard.
Right.
Oh, really?
No, yeah. This is one of those things they don't control. If the fire alarm goes off, you have to evacuate. Don't get me wrong. I was very mad because I was like third in line to get my media pass.
Well, the thing is, just a little interruption here is that if they're going to close off 3rd Avenue or 3rd Street,
yes,
one of them,
3rd Street,
is that if it's closed off, put like shades on the buildings or something.
Oh.
Because some of us are standing in line for 5 minutes just to move one step. Because the thing is, the ballroom was so populated that they had to exit people immediately out the doors and then come back around.
This was something they wanted to try. It's like as opposed to everyone going out the entrance where you came in and colliding with all those people. Right. They said, okay, this is the exit out the side. Let the people
I get why they did that, but it's like they need to understand that it's Arizona too.
Yeah, but it's really not a good idea. It really doesn't mesh to. You're going to go outside into the heat so that you can come around the front. Unfortunately, I really don't have a better idea.
Yeah.
Except maybe move the people to people who want to enter, move them to the side, and then have people who are leaving back into the con and have them go out the front. The very back of the 121. Kind of reverse the roles because they wanted people to come in the top and leave the side. Have people walk in the side and have them leave the top. But then again, there's all those people walking to get in. They have to go around to the side.
Yeah, it's like I understand why they did it. It's just like I said, my only biggest complaint about this obviously is the Arizona sun.
That's
they really can't do anything about it.
It's like that's my complaint about cosplaying, which I may not do next year.
Well, you'll probably pick up a lighter outfit this time.
Like I said, I have no idea what's going to happen next year.
But because some of the worst things I saw when I was done with my panels, or celebrity panels, I went outside, tried to get back lines of people trying to get into the front doors.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of options there. Even if you wanted to go through the West building, it just didn't work.
But I always thought that the lines moved pretty quick to get in. Because they check your bags, make sure there's nothing dangerous.
Right.
But they just kept them going.
That's one of the funny things. It's like, not until one time on Sunday did someone check my bag.
I got hit a couple times.
They let me walk through. They just saw my media badge and they let me through. They didn't check my bag or anything.
Thursday, and it wasn't until Friday night that they started it. Saturday they started, and Sunday they started, but Sunday and Saturday afternoon they stopped doing it. They just did it first thing in the morning. And then they're like, we're not checking bags anymore. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like I said, only one time did someone check my bag. And
I got hit 3 times. But it also depended because they did it in different buildings. Mm-hmm. So if you went through the one building to get into the convention center, you got them checked twice.
Yes.
If they were doing it.
Well, see, that's it. Just going down in the exhibition hall, going into the first entrance, whatever you want to call it, down the escalators and into the exhibition hall, no one checked my bag.
Right. Well, they only check it at the front doors. If you don't check there,
they didn't even check it at the front doors. That's what I'm saying. I guess when I show them my media bag, they're just here. Go on.
You know what I still don't understand about Comic-Con, and this is probably due to the fact that, believe it or not, as our convention was going, some other convention was doing their thing. That's why we couldn't get into the bottom 121 West and stuff like that. But it'd be great if they could open up the 3rd story of the...
I was thinking that.
They may end up doing that next year.
It's like, what are they saving it for?
Yeah. Well, when I was at the convention center this February for another convention, they did have the upstairs open. And here's the cool part. Number 1, you've got this top walkway. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
So that connects the west building with the north building so that now you don't have to be downstairs.
Yeah,
you got a catwalk. Also, you got a huge room up there. A room that's just as big as the
ballroom?
The ballroom, yeah. So, you should...